Welcome to this episode of my podcast. My name is Kalsoom, and I specialize in training medical professionals how to get the score they need in IELTS or OET so that they can get their dream job, take their career to the next level, and start living their best life with their families by providing them with bigger and better opportunities. Before I start with the main topic for this week's episode, I just want to make you aware of how you can use this podcast to your maximum advantage. This is no ordinary podcast. You can use this podcast by one, simply listening to the podcast to get some advice that will help you in your IELTS or OET preparation. Number two, actively listening to this podcast to improve your listening skills. I try to keep it short. I know you guys are very busy people, but you can use it for focused listening practice. So you can use the show notes, which is a complete transcript of each episode. You can read the episode as you listen and analyze the language, learn new words or phrases, practice pronunciation and intonation. Number three, also included in the show notes are some comprehension style questions that you can use by reading the transcript, using your skimming and scanning techniques to answer the questions. Answers are provided at the end, but you can also check your answers by listening to the podcast. Number four, you can use it as a listening test and answer the same questions while listening. And number five, I also include a brief analysis of some useful words or phrases that I have used in the podcast, which you can learn. So it's up to you how you would like to use this tool. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your colleagues and social media so that more people can benefit from it too. Hi, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. So, how do you stay motivated with your OET preparation? A lot of the time, and what I found with teaching OET and IELTS for so many years, is that motivation can disappear quite quickly because it can be affected by so many factors. You could be tired after a long shift at work, or you're just not in the mood, etc. You know, there could be so many factors. You just can't be bothered. Yeah. So relying on motivation alone is not going to work. When it's gone, when it's low, you won't get the work done. So if you can't rely on motivation, what do you rely on? So I've talked about this a little bit before, briefly in previous episodes. And the main thing you need to focus on to keep you going is the reason why you want to pass OET in the first place. So, why are you doing OET or IELTS? What is the end goal? Is it for your career? To get a better job with better money, better prospects, better, opportunities, to further your career. Perhaps it's career and to study further, to study and specialize in a certain area of medicine. Perhaps you're also doing it for your family, to provide them with bigger and better opportunities in terms of their education and their career. And, for your children, for their future. And maybe you just want a better life, better lifestyle. And, you want to be able to, have those opportunities in the UK or in America or Australia, wherever it is that you would like to move to. Or maybe you just want an adventure. Maybe you just need a change. You want to try something new. And, that's the thing, that's the reason behind why you need to pass OET or IELTS. And it could be a combination of all of these things. And really, everybody is different. Everybody's why will be different. But focusing on this why, on this ultimate aim, the ultimate reason why you want to do OET and IELTS always makes you work. Yeah, when you don't want to. And helps you get the work done. because you're not relying on any kind of emotion or feeling like motivation, that, if you, motivation is not something solid. It's not something fixed. It can move around, it can change. Whereas your reasons for doing something doesn't. It is fixed. It is a permanent thing. So it's a more solid foundation in which to place your kind of motivation for doing something. Yeah. But in addition to that, so I've talked about that quite a bit before in other episodes, the reason why you want to do your, pass your OET and IELTS. And that is an important factor. But in addition to that, you also need to think about beyond OET. So, what do I mean by this? So when you're in the middle of your preparation, it's so easy to just be focusing on the test and nothing else. And just focusing on the test can also lead you to feel less motivated, especially if you're struggling, you're not getting the scores, or there's a certain area of OET or IELTS that you're struggling with the English, with perhaps a certain section of the test, perhaps learning the vocabulary, whatever it is. Sometimes, there's a bit that you're stuck on, or you're just generally just fed up with it. Relying on your why, going back to why it is that you want to do the test in the first place, but also to look beyond OET and what, putting in the work, putting in the effort now for your OET and IELTS. What else does that mean for you other than just passing the OET or IELTS, other than getting the score that you need? So it's important to remember the bigger picture beyond OET. And that is the bigger picture being that passing the test and moving to the UK, the US, or wherever it is that you want to be, you'll be using all the skills that you are learning, that you are, trying to perfect now in real life, whether you'll be using all those skills in your workplace, with your patients, with your colleagues, even outside your workplace. So all the reading skills and the listening skills, the writing skills, the speaking skills, the vocabulary, all of this, all of the preparation, all of the hard work, it's not just for OET or IELTS. It's beyond that. You'll be using it wherever you go, whatever you do, whether it's in the workplace or outside the workplace, whether you're with your family, in any situation. So everything you are learning at the moment in your English, all the improvements that you're making, it will pay off in so many different ways. So it's really important to think beyond just the test and the score. Everything will, all the effort that you're putting in now will help you become a better communicator and give you the ability to understand the world you will live in a lot quicker and better. So you will benefit, your career will benefit, and your family will benefit. So it's really important to think beyond just what you're doing now and looking at the short term. You need to look at the bigger picture. And this can be a huge motivation in itself. This can really help you to, again, think on more solid ground rather than just motivation itself. Oh, I don't feel like it today. Oh, I feel like it today. I'll study today. And then tomorrow, you think, oh, I don't feel like studying today. Oh, it's okay. I did loads yesterday. I don't need to do any today. That's not a solid foundation to base your preparation on. It has to be more solid than that. One of them is your why, and the other is to think beyond the test, and that this will help you further yourself socially as well as in your career as well.
and your family will benefit too. So when motivation has left you and you just can't be bothered to practice, just remember these two things, your why and what it would mean beyond the scope of OET and to get the score that you need. And sometimes you kind of need that reminder really to help you to push yourself just that little bit further. And yes, it is about getting the score that you need, but you know, if you can think the benefits of what you're doing now will help you beyond getting the score that you need, it kind of gives you a boost. So try to keep that in your mind when you are doing your preparation, and especially when you just don't feel like doing the work. I get a lot of questions regarding this from my students, and just generally online, people just private message me and say, look, I know what I need to do, but I'm just not motivated. I'm not consistent in my preparation. And, this is the advice that I give them, that, you need to think, you have to have consistency in your preparation. If there's no consistency, then you will not make the improvements that you need to make. If you're practicing one day and there's a gap of a week, until you practice again, you're kind of taking 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and your preparation will take longer, it'll be harder, and you're more likely to give up. So the way you can stay consistent is to remember why you're doing it all in the first place and the benefit that you will get in the long run for all the effort that you're putting in. And, it makes a lot of sense to students, and they find that this advice really, really helps them to focus, to, especially when they're not feeling like doing the work. That's when you really need to dig deep and think about the bigger picture. So I really hope this advice has helped you. It's quite a short podcast today, a short episode today. But I hope it's made an impact on your thinking, on your mindset. I talk a lot about mindset, especially in the earlier podcast episodes, because I think it's so important to have the right mindset in anything that you do. And this is part of having that right mindset. So just a few reminders before I leave you. In the show notes, you'll find lots of links to lots of things that will help you. Firstly, my free OET preparation training, which is a series of 5 videos which focuses on different aspects of your OET preparation. And that's helped hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people, get focused, get back on track. I talk a lot about mindset. A lot of the things I've talked about in this episode, I talk about in a lot more depth in that training. It goes through all the reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and everything that you should be doing in order to get the score that you need in each of those areas. There's also a video which gives you a sneak peek into my OET membership training and how I teach in there, how that whole training works, and how I've helped hundreds of people pass their OET test. And so it just gives you a view of how that training works, how that membership works. There's also a link there to join the membership if you would like to join, and my email address if you have any questions, anything that I've talked about today in this episode, or anything about OET training. And any feedback that you have about the episodes, I'd love to hear. And if you have any ideas of what you would like me to talk about next, I'm always happy and open for suggestions. In the meantime, work hard, keep going, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
I really hope you have found this episode useful. Please let me know if you have. I would love to get your feedback, and if there is something you would like me to do an episode on, for IELTS or for OET, please just let me know. The details on how you can contact me are in the show notes of this episode. And remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you are not willing to change or implement advice and you keep doing the same thing, you will keep getting the same results again and again. Real progress, real improvement comes when you push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your colleagues and on your social media so that more people can benefit too. Take care and keep working hard.